I got up, I pushed the chair to the side, I walked the heck out of there. I got out of that school.
On the last episode, I interviewed Mr. Ido-san and asked him what it's really like being an English teacher in Japan.
It's humiliating,
Wait,
you know?
relax.
Come read this paragraph, okay? Now 15 minutes, go stand over there. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, you know?
In this fascinating part 2, and trust me it is, you'll find out why the hell he got fired and what you should not do when coming to Japan as an English teacher. Let's go.
When you started to teach, what was your situation like in Japan? Did they give you an apartment?
Yeah, that's fantastic conditions. In terms of material conditions, financial, you know, for that stage of my life, salary is very good. Because you can also get hired here in the private industry. There's organizations like Nova, ECC, where you did what I did in Korea, you know, or a teacher would do what I did in Korea, which is after school English programs. So working for the government, we had much better conditions than that. So they paid for the flights, they organized the visas, apartment was half paid for by the city, you know, travel allowance.
So your salary was, you saying that it was good? Because nowadays, as far as I heard, lots of ALTs are saying that the salary is shit.
Well, you know, one thing is there's definitely a cost of living increase. Salary hasn't increased.
Since you're,
Yeah.
the salary so something that you guys do not know about Japan, the salary did not increase in the past, what, 30 years?
Yeah,
40 years?
since the bubble burst.
But prices are going up. So I guess for you it was slightly easier and maybe...
Way easier, and also the exchange rate was way different. When I left in 2010, the exchange rate was 80 yen to the dollar. What is it now?
80?
80.
Twice!
80! So you understand? Like when you're sending money back home after you finish working
Oh
here.
my days!
Yeah, or you want to go,
So
you know, travel. That's a real difference in money. It's almost lost half its value since then. So that's different, and also ALT is used for all different private industry and public industry. So just because somebody's an ALT doesn't mean they're a JET program ALT. And the JET program ALTs, the other ALTs who were in the private industry were jealous of us. Because we had better work conditions, we had to work less hours, less classroom hours, less, you know, oversight usually in terms of a manager on top of you. Because it's not private, it's public industry. It's public, you know, school education system, not private industry. So
from your past experience, you would recommend JET if somebody would want to become...
Definitely. If you're going to come teach English in Japan, the JET program is the way to do that upon arrival. A lot of teachers, when they're here for many years, then they start doing private lessons and they're piecing together their schedule by taking the choice gigs. A few hours here, a few hours there, private lessons, university, part-time. But you have to be here and get the experience and connections. If you just want to come into Japan, I 100% recommend the JET program. Listen, as far as this sounds like I'm criticizing the program, actually, I think it's an amazing program, amazing experience, and it gave me so much opportunity, and I'll be forever grateful for it. That said, the managerial team the second time around was lousy, and many of us were unhappy. Many of us were unhappy.
Wait.
You know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking
We're
about.
gonna get to that. Wait, next question.
You're a jerk. You're a jerk.
Can you name a few things that you very liked about this whole experience of being a teacher in Japan?
Well, for one, I can just say in general, working in Japan, you know, it's a wonderful place, wonderful culture. People are so kind, even if they don't like you, you know, or they have issues with you, they're very kind. And for the most part, they care about one another in Japan. That's one of the things I really liked about it. Everything here is really organized, you know, so you know what to expect, because oftentimes as an English teacher in Asia, there's going to be a lot of unpredictable things. You know, your school closes overnight, or this, you know, company's not paying you properly like they said they would. You don't have a lot of recourse as a temporary worker, you know. So working for the JET program and in Japan, it's very rare those things. They happen, but definitely in the JET program, it doesn't happen. You get paid and everything's
very professional,
organized. I wouldn't say professional, but predictable, you know, and reliable. So those are great things. Also, obviously, the quality of living, quality of life, and the dignity in which people hold themselves and interact, you know. It's a wonderful place to come and live and work. And I recommend it as a life experience, definitely. Would
you recommend to experience the life in Japan for just, I don't know, 3-4 years and then move on to whatever adventures you're gonna have, or
No, I recommend to come for 1 year. If you like it, stay for a second year.
and then see how it
It's,
goes.
it's all 1 year contracts in Japan.
Mm.
The JET program and all the English teaching industry is 1 year contracts. So come, and if you like it, stay. I plan to come for 2 years. Now I'm here for 14 years.
So now to Ido's favorite part. What sucked about being an ALT in Japan, and what the hell happened in this second part of you being a teacher there? Because sounds like throughout the whole interview you are mentioning that quite a lot. So
What happened that the wheels came off the bus? The worst experience I had, which is the story I'm about to tell, launched me into the next part of my life, which was very much a fulfillment of my own personal destiny as a human being, you know? So it would never have occurred had I not gone through this tribulation. I came from a situation where I knew I was capable. You know, I've been teaching English now for, as a ALT, as an English instructor, Korea, Taiwan, Japan for years. I was very good with creating my own worksheets and ideas, and I was very creative. I had started English clubs and communication clubs and spread out networks for my students to develop their English. And I was very capable of creating, what we could call elective English, right? Not the standard curriculum of grammar and stuff, but the elective part of it, where it bring English to life. Because of that, they thought, well, yeah, Ido should be in the upper level English schools, right? And so they sent me to the upper level English schools in Sapporo, which was a huge mistake. It's the worst place for me to be. Because at those schools, it's all about, no, we have a system, this is what you do, this is what you don't do, and very little creativity.
So on paper it sounds like it should have been something where you should have more control, but then you just...
Well, it seems like a promotion, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
you're being promoted to the upper level English, but in reality, they cut your wings. Because now in any organization, the more you move into the higher levels of the organization, the more regimented it's going to be. Like if you're teaching basketball to elementary school, to young kids, yeah, you can do this and this. If you're teaching basketball at a college level, you know, there's a very much a strict program, right? It's like as you go through any institutional system, the higher you go up, the more regimented it's going to be.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you have karate lessons for a 7-year-old, it's going to be mostly play. You have karate lessons for a 20-year-old, it's going to be, real discipline.
In your mind, you were like, wow, awesome, cool.
Yeah, I was excited.
I'm winning.
Yeah, I was like, great, I'm going to be now able to work with students who have a higher level of English. I'm going to be able to, get more out of them and get them to communicate at a deeper level and, we'll take it to the next level.
Okay.
But in fact, much less freedom. And just follow the rules, follow the procedure. And the procedure was messed up, because the way the system is here is all based upon the group, not the individual. All right, so we had a curriculum, because they were upper English schools, we had a curriculum where they aimed the English level at the top kids in that program, because they thought this is an upper level program. But you had 90% of the kids who were not at that level. And so they had no idea what was going on. They were selecting textbooks for an English level that 10% of the kids could do. And so, the whole thing was falling apart. And because those textbooks were selected by the head of the English department, they could never be questioned. You know what I mean? And they had to be followed in this way and that way. The kids mostly didn't understand anything. Most of the kids. It was way beyond them, to the point where they had to translate all of the English material at one of my schools into Japanese. So the kids could even understand what the heck they were learning. It was absurd. They were learning words like institutionalization and, developmental progress, and, looking at world hunger. This is ridiculous.
No.
These kids can't even tell you what they had for dinner. It was ridiculous. And no matter what we would say, they wouldn't change it because it was already decided by the head of the program, and this is what's decided. So we were thrust into situations where failure was inevitable. And the only thing we could do is try to lessen the failure. And God forbid you said the emperor was naked. God forbid you exposed the ridiculousness of what we were doing every day, which was aiming at collegiate level English. For these kids that couldn't even, ESL, let's say, these kids who couldn't even tell you what they did last weekend. It was absurd to the level of mockery. And so when I started to voice my opinions, that's when everything started to change. Eventually, they got tired of my, feedback and comments, and they said something like, "Oh, you think you can do it better? All right, why don't you create something in one of the electives, and we'll see how it goes." All right, so I took my skills as an English teacher and my experience, and I started creating small group lessons where the students sat together in these small groups of 3 or 4 and started to communicate based on the lessons we were learning in their other classes. Very common sense. All these activities to get the students, there were a number of problems with this. One, the staff wasn't trained enough to lead this. And I didn't think about that in advance. Before, at my other school, they took my lead. And because it was a smaller school with me as an English teacher, I could direct it myself. Now we had a bunch of different English teachers in different classes, and they were not up to the same level of understanding as me. And I didn't do a good enough job of training them for how to execute group lessons where the small groups are talking and working and progressing. And so it was disorganized. That's a stage that we would have gotten through. But they pulled the cord. And they were looking for ways to show that my ideas were not going to work. And that these ideas are going to be a failure. And so they pulled the cord after a few weeks and they said, no, trying to put me in my place. And I said, well, okay, fine, it went like this, it went like this. It didn't end there. I didn't know that. But there at the top level, the people that I was, butting heads against, they had an interest in that what I was trying to start at the school would fail. And so obviously there's going to be difficulties in any new system being implemented. And we're not talking about the regular curriculum. I'm not saying stop teaching grammar, right? We weren't even involved in the academic part of English. I'm talking about the electives, which is exactly what at my other school I was allowed to develop. But here, as they say, they gave me the rope to hang myself. And not for the first time. You'll see the second time when I get into the story, I walked right into the noose. Because I assume people have good intentions. They didn't anymore. They saw me as a troublemaker, and they were interested to humiliate or lower my standing within the group. Okay, so they did that successfully, and they hoped this would shut me up and make me a good little boy in the corner. Yet the entire curriculum was failing in front of our eyes every day. So then they started to place me in lower level English classes with the English teachers who didn't speak English, didn't know how to use me, stand in the corner, be an audio recorder, right? And it became more and more unbearable, you know what I mean, to go through this public humiliation, which is in fact what it was. When I was actually more experienced and older than 2 out of the 3 other ALTs that were in the school. And then they are humiliating me. So, okay, this is how they're going to play it, okay. And I try to be professional about it and whatnot, obviously, not show my anger in front of the kids or whatnot. But in the office, in the English department office, it boiled over. And there was one older teacher. I won't say his name, we'll call him Mr. Takabashi. Alright? So this Takashi-san, and in Japan, seniority is determined largely by age, not by merit, right? Not by the quality of your work, but how long you've been doing it.
Yeah.
So this Takashi-san, even though he was semi-retired, which in Japan many people semi-retire, so he was there part-time, but he had 40 years of teaching English as a dead language.
If you're semi-retired in Japan, does that make you higher, or how does that work as far as the hierarchy?
I mean, he's lower in terms of he's not making decisions on the curriculum and on what's being taught and all that, but he's higher in that nobody will challenge him.
Oh.
Even if he's doing a lousy job, nobody will dare say anything, And he's teaching English in a way the kids are literally sleeping in his class. The kids are literally messing around and zero attention and don't care because he's teaching English as if he's, at a funeral. You know what I mean? His back is turned to the kids most of the time. Could you come and read this from the book? You know what I mean? And how much of that can you stand? So we were in the English office, and he said, you have to do this, you have to do that, and we had some kind of thing that boiled over. And, I was younger, I wasn't as in control maybe of my emotions as I am now.
Okay.
Imagine that. And I said something. I know exactly what I said. That's crazy. I'm like, you want me to do? That's crazy that we're doing this. Now in Japan, I didn't know that if you say the word crazy, that's like insulting a person's mother.
What is the word?
No, in English. We're talking in English. Yes, because
okay.
I don't. My Japanese was not that good. Even now, I wouldn't be able to work as an English teacher and communicate only in Japanese.
Okay, so
Teacher is speaking in English, and I say that's crazy, you know. And then he basically took that as me saying he's crazy. And it was a miscommunication for sure, because I didn't say he's crazy. I said that's crazy to do that, the idea.
Yeah.
And even at that moment, when other people saw the reaction, one of the other ALTs said, he didn't say that you're crazy. He said that the idea was crazy, but it was already over. At that point, he had seen this as a declaration of war. All right, so the communication ended right there, and it was very, very tense, you know what I mean, in the office. So we went through a couple of weeks like this, very high tension between me and him, and couldn't even be in the class, like work together almost, like very high tension, uncomfortable.
wow.
And it was the kids were starting to notice this in our classes
Really?
that we had together, because I taught maybe with him 4 times in a week.
Like they felt this animosity, like this energy.
Definitely, because he saw it as a declaration of war.
That's not a good environment, especially for kids.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not really good with kids, but on paper,
It's a bad environment for everybody across
Yeah.
the board, whether business, education, everything. So I'm a peace-loving dude, actually, right? So man, I love peace, and don't get me started. So I actually went to the department head, who I seriously dislike. This is the lady that ran the department like a military tribunal. And she was the one who determined that this is the curriculum with the level of English that didn't fit anybody, and nobody dare question her because, she's been doing this for a long time. She's the head of the department, and everybody tiptoed around her because she was very likely to give you angry reactions to anything you said that wasn't the way she liked it to be said, and people tiptoed, and many people didn't like her. People were afraid of her because she had power within the school as well.
the evil principal.
Not only that, my direct boss at the Board of Education was before English teacher that worked under her. So she had direct power over me through this guy, who I'm not going to say his name, but let's call him Maseda-san. You know what I mean? You know who you are. I'm not even going to call you sensei. You don't deserve that. You were a vindictive little boy.
Bro.
Vindictive little boy. I went to this lady, we'll call her, and I said, listen, I want to have a mediation, I want to get together, and I feel like, this problem exists not just with this teacher, but in across our department, we're not teaching English in any way that makes any sense to most of the students, okay? It's just absurd, and I want to talk about it, and also have a mediation with this one teacher we're having a problem with. So I want to call for a department meeting. And, obviously I don't know the intricacies of Japanese culture. When you call as a kohai, as a subordinate, when I ask for a department meeting, that's not only a declaration of war, that's a shots fired. Shots fired, shots fired.
It's like you're trying to have a revolution.
Yeah, it's never done. Never done. If there's going to be a mediation, it's going to come from the top down. So I didn't know this about Japanese culture, and there's a lot of things I didn't know about what's called Bushido culture. Bushido means the philosophy of the samurai. And Japan is a Bushido culture, especially on the organizational level. It still operates under samurai culture. I asked for this meeting, right? Mediation. So after school, we go, in one of the classrooms, and the whole English department, 15 of us, sitting around a circle. Right away, Takabashi-san, Takabashi Sensei. That's not his real name.
I suspect that maybe it is the real name.
It's not the real name, but it's not far. It's not far removed.
Okay.
Yeah, so he is full Bushido mode, right? He's fully in the samurai mentality of this is war, all right? And it wasn't until years later when I was reading books about Bushido that I saw exactly what happened, and I understood exactly what happened. So the head of the department, she says, who would like to speak first? And, okay, Bushido tactic number 1. Always have your opponents speak first.
Oh,
so you know exactly
then you
what
can
to
answer. Yeah, okay, because then you can answer. Oh yeah.
And I'm like, he's like, yeah, do you want to start? And I'm like a fool, you know, like an idiot, you know? Yeah, okay, sure. And I talk about, you know, how we can try to work together better, and my apologies. I didn't want to make it uncomfortable for the English department, and I don't want to have conflict with anyone. And, you know, I'm really here because I want us to be better, you know what I mean? I want us to do a better job. I wasn't happy with how things were going, with the students being totally disinterested and no progress in their English and nothing happening, you know? It was like we were watching the failure of the English department. And I'm like, listen, you know, we don't have to do it this way. Of course, I'm a subordinate. I can't say any of that, okay? So I say my piece, I talk for a few minutes, and I look around the circle, and there's a couple of people that are looking at me like, yeah, you know, I understand this kid, you know, Japanese teachers. Probably what they're thinking is, this kid has no idea what he's doing in this culture. And I see a lot of the other teachers are just head down, they don't even want to look, you know, because maybe they know what's coming. I don't know. Now, the day before the meeting was on a Tuesday afternoon. The day before the meeting on Monday, Takabashi-san wasn't in school. This guy showed up, it doesn't matter. He was there every work day that he had. He was there. He never missed a day. And I thought, you know, when he wasn't there, I was like, I wonder if he's alright.
It sounds like he brought some RPGs to confront you.
He did. He brought an RPG, but in the form of manila envelopes. So he'd spent his day off, which he called in sick or whatever he called, took a vacation day, preparing a pamphlet that he took out 15 copies in manila envelopes. He gave everyone a manila envelope in the circle. And I was like, whoa, what is going on
Like
here? Literally a manila envelope. He photocopied 15 versions of A4 paper. And so we all open it up. And here, in this packet, is time after time after time where he felt I acted wrong. All the things I did wrong. Ito sat down in this class. Ito didn't do what I said to do. Ito said this to me. Ito said that to me. It was like a report of all my bad behavior.
How did he even remember those?
Oh, he remembered. I mean, it was pages long. To the point where he started to read off this paper in front of all 15 people. All the things Ito had done.
Wow.
And it was so ridiculous. It was so ridiculous.
That's crazy.
The head of the English department had to stop him. She said, no, that's enough. You know what I mean? Something like that. Like, we understand what's going on. That's enough. You know what I mean?
How did you...
I was boiling. I was literally at this point, we had the student desk. We're in a student classroom. The desks are like connected one piece. I was grabbing the end of the desk and I was ready to break it off. You know, I was furious. You know, I was so angry because I felt totally betrayed. Here I was coming for peace. I was coming for mediation. And this guy just, you know, stripped me naked and had me walk in front of everybody, you know, figuratively. It was humiliating, okay? Bushido tactic number 2. After the person exposes themselves, after what they say, then you go for the kill. You go for the kill. And that's what he did. And I was livid, you know? And after she stopped him, then I was like, listen, what just went on here was completely unacceptable. The fact that you guys would all sit here and listen to this as he's humiliating me, and I come here for peace in the interest of the English department and the students, this is unacceptable. This is, you know, I got very angry to the point where the head of the department was asking me to calm down. I said, this is totally unacceptable. I got up, I pushed the chair to the side, I walked the heck out of there. I got out of that school. And I was boiling because I had understood that I'd been set up. I'd been set up by people who had no heart left for me. So let this be a warning, yeah? Because they will treat you with kindness and grace and generosity until they think that you're no longer part of the team and you're a troublemaker. As soon as that happened, as the expression go, the nail that sticks up is going to be hammered down. And they were hammering me down hard. And after that all happened, I actually I took a few days off. I didn't go to school for a few days. I told my senior at the Board of Education exactly what happened and how that affected me. No, that was early winter. We were supposed to have the recontracting meeting where we went in and they said, here's your, good job. You've been offered another contract. You want to sign? That happens in about January. So I didn't have a recontracting meeting. I had a termination meeting. They said, we're not going to re-sign you anymore. This is your last 6 months with us in the organization. You're fired. At that point, like I said, this is why I'm actually eternally grateful, in a way. Not for these people, but for the experience. Because that really was the fire I needed under my butt in order to get me to my life's calling, which is to be an entrepreneur, which is what I am now. And now I get to run my own system. I get to work with people that I respect and like, and hire the people I want to work with. And I'm sure I would not still be in Japan if I worked for a Japanese company, 100%. Because that system is antithetical to me as a freedom-loving person. And a person who believes people's talents should be not only respected, but encouraged. And that's how I run my team. The whole experience was really eye-opening, and I don't have any actual resentment. It might look like I have resentments, but I don't.
Well, it sounds like it because
sounds like
the way you. I'm gonna call you out on this one.
Yeah.
The way you spoke, it sounds like you still had something there.
Well, listen, if I saw Takabashi-san in person now, I would bow and say something respectful.
Would you actually?
Yes. Because he was way out of his league, you know what I mean? He'd been trained to be a teacher in the 1970s, right? I mean, think about how many things changed in even Western education, yet alone now Japan is dealing with the fact that they rank one of the lowest in Asia for English ability. Even though they pump amazing amounts of money into the system, they're one of the worst ranking people. Anybody knows that. If you travel around Asia, where is one of the worst places to speak English with the locals? Japan, right? So he was part of that generation that was thought that this is how you teach English, as a dead language, right? So I don't blame him, and he's very old school. But if I saw the head of my program, I wouldn't even talk to her. I wouldn't even meet eyes with her because she's dark. She's dark. He just did his programming, The experience, I would say I learned far more in my second experience on JET through all the trials and tribulations that I had the first time.
Because you experienced some hardships.
Yes,
and
we learned much more in hardship.
Yeah.
It was a failure that drove me to this success where I am today.
High five, and to close this magnificent interview, one last thing from you. What would you recommend to people that are coming on a JET program or coming to teach here in Japan?
As far as, this does have a lot of criticism about the system here and what I lived through and experienced. Overall, I would never have had this opportunity were it not for the amazing grace and welcoming nature of the Japanese, and some of the best cultural and group experiences of my life were had here thanks to them, so I'm forever grateful, and the proof is I'm still here, and I love Japan and I love Japanese culture, and I hope Japan never changes, but know what you're going into.
Stay safe, God bless.